Yo,
Yes, brother.
what's happening, Dean? You alright, bro?
Easy, man.
Oh,
Brother, it's
good,
a bit
okay.
of a madness, you know. I'm trying to get it on the app, and it's not working.
So is this not on your phone? You're doing it on
No. So I'm doing it on my phone, but it's in the browser.
Oh, that's kind of mad, bro. Yeah, I'm doing it from the app. Or maybe you need to create an account. I don't know.
I
But
don't
like,
know, but it's working though, isn't it? So
yeah, no, it's calm. It's gonna record for it's gonna carry on for 59 minutes. Well, it's gonna carry on for an hour, basically.
okay.
And then it will shut down or whatnot. But yeah, first things first. How are you? How's life? How's living? I ain't spoken to you
It's been a
properly
minute,
for like 10. But it's been like 15 years, man.
bruv. I've literally known you for about 15 years, bruv.
Yeah.
It's mad, bruv.
How's living? How's life?
Life's good, man. I can't complain, you know. I
Yeah.
can't complain, man. Everything's going really well. Got a
Yeah.
little boy, engaged. It's just
That's
like
mad.
life is mad, bruv. Like on Tuesday, I'm 33, bruv.
Yeah, that's the whole
It's
madness. Can you
it's
imagine?
it's
Where does the time
crazy.
go?
It's
Where does the
crazy.
time go? And I would have never thought, to be fair, when I think back, like when I'd met you at 17, if someone had said to me that we would be having this conversation at 33, I wouldn't have known that if it was possible, you know. I would have been like, in 15 years, am I really going to be able to speak, like to say, because if you think about it, from Volume Voices, where we met, cause I'm saying this based on people who might be listening that will not know, basically. Do you know what I mean? So we met
Yeah.
at Volume Voices, long story short, from Camden, singing, etc. And here we are 15 years later. But I'm not actually in touch with anybody else. Actually, no, tell a lie. I've got Natalia on my Instagram, but aside from that, I'm not in touch with, and I've got Cordell on my Instagram, but I'm not really in touch with anybody else from Volume Voices.
Same really.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of people from there on my Insta and that.
Yeah.
Natalia, Cordell. I spoke to Cordell a couple of weeks ago. He was saying about him maybe trying to move up to Manchester.
Slow down. I thought he's in the States, no? Something like that.
No, supposedly he was picking either between Brum or Manchester. So
okay.
Yeah, so he was just asking like locations and these kind of things. So yeah. But yeah, like Cordell, Natalia. I got Keisha on my Insta as well, but I've not we've not really had like a DM conversation or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just like you like a picture here and there and that kind of thing. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really speak to. Rio's on my thing as well. I got Rio on there as well.
Oh, for real? What, on your Instagram?
Yeah. He's still singing and everything, man.
Yeah. I've got to look them up. I'm gonna have a little sneak peek at your Instagram.
Yeah, have a little.
See all the faces that I'm missing that I ain't seen. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I was thinking about Rio actually the other day. I was like, yeah, I wonder what he's on and what them on. But
I miss those days.
Yeah. No, those days were good, bro. Like I was thinking about the other day. You know what I was doing, bro? I was walking. And I was thinking about like that song that we wrote. That was like, there will be times when you think you might need a knife.
Oh,
you know that too?
Oh,
I literally started singing on road, and I was like, "Yo, what is the song that's in my head?" And I was like, "Oh, it's from Volume Voices." And then that's the first one that got me thinking. I was like, "Oh my god, I need to get Dean on the podcast." Like, no, but I was like, I'd like to get someone on the podcast from that era. And then, and the first person I thought of was you. But I was just looking at Insta. I was like, you know what? Dean's probably the one I'd want to hear about most, because from what I've seen, it would appear that your life has changed more than like anybody, like probably a lot more than anyone else that I can think of. I mean, I know like Natalia's I've changed a lot, but I like, if I get a chance to do a podcast with her, I'll do that too. But your life has changed like dramatically, I think, based on like
crazy,
15 years. And speaking of like, now that you said Cordell was thinking of coming up to like Manny, do you find like, what challenges did you find like having to change your lifestyle from London to Manchester? Because I know Manchester's like Manchester's a city itself, but it's not quite London, is it? There's nowhere else that's really like London.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
It's smaller. It's not as fast paced. People are actually nicer.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like people actually say good morning, and whereas like if you was to get on a bus, people actually thank the driver. These kind of things. Yeah. Whereas like, when I first moved up here, I jumped on the bus and people were saying, "Oh, thank you." I'm like, this is a bit weird.
It's a bit nuts. Yeah. You're thinking you're from London. You ain't used to this. Like, it's crazy. Why are you talking to me?
I'm used to getting a cut eye at me and this kind of. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very different.
Right.
But I think the biggest challenge was not having my own circle. Around me.
In fact, let's talk a bit about that. That's actually interesting because that's the next question I was going to ask with in terms of adjusting. Because I think a lot of people, especially in this day and age, always talk about wanting to move out of their comfort zone and go in somewhere else completely different.
Yeah.
Whereas you kind of you haven't gone too far out. It's not like you moved to Australia or anything. But like Manchester, it's like London is a world on its own.
It's like a 4-hour drive in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours on the train. So,
but see, not having your circle around, I mean, mentally, that's got to be like draining for a bit. No, that's like mental exercise. I'm sure you have to train yourself to get used to.
Definitely. I mean, it's a bonus that my missus, she's from Manchester. Like, she's originally from Manchester, so like her mum and that's up this way, and so it's kind of like I've got family here, but it's not my friend and family circle that I was technically used to. So it was challenging. It was challenging, and like along that process, I've lost friends along the way because of obviously like people don't understand like why are you leaving this. Like it's just a bit turmoil, that kind of scenario. I don't think not many, but I don't think a small amount of people understood it. Really? Like, why are you up and leaving? Well, need a fresh start. Need something new. So it was mainly the circle, having that circle around. That was the biggest challenge. Because I mean, when I came up here, I was a freelancer. I was a graphic design freelancer. So I was earning like really like good money freelancing, so I could work remotely and earn nice money. But then I moved up this way, and then that's when I got like a designer role at JD Sports and that. And it kind of kicked off from there. So like career wise, it wasn't really a challenge because it was just there. It just happened.
It was just happening.
It just happened naturally.
But was there like fear? Were you not scared of?
Hell yeah!
Like now, if someone's like, I always talk about, even like when it comes down to DJing, like I'm always talking about, one day I could just move to like San Francisco. And
it's scary.
But I'm like, but when it actually comes, I'm like, but what will I do if? Like,
it's scary.
If I go there and things don't work out the way I do, like all of those questions, I'm sure go through your mind.
Scary. It's scary, bro. It was beyond scary at first. I mean, now it's kind of like I've adjusted. Do you know what I mean? But that first year and a half, it was turmoil.
And does it feel like home now? Like, is it a second?
It's basically second home, really. I mean, London will always be home. That's why I named my son Camden, because obviously wherever he is now is home. You know what I mean?
I didn't know what you think about that. That's really true.
That's okay. Cool. That's where his name comes from.
Right. See, I thought it was just a thing of like Camden's a sick name, by the way. I like that name. I love that.
Same, brother.
But I thought it was just a thing where like you love the area. Like,
no, so
it's kind of like, so I'm gonna name him this because this is where initially he's from. I mean, if he's from your genes, you're Camden born and bred.
But it's more so like obviously Camden will always be home. I lived there for a hell of amount of years. So raised and born and everything there, and so for the name for him is he was named Camden because now wherever he is home. So that's another thing as well, because it's not like just so moving out of London, saying like London is different to the rest of the world is one thing, and then moving out, but then Camden in itself is different to every other part in London. Like, that was the stomping ground, bruv. Camden is proper like to me. I feel like there is no other place, not even just in London. I don't think there's any other place on the planet that is like Camden. It's crazy there, man.
That I've been to that has such a like diverse mix of like people and cultures and all of these
literally
things. And so to go from there and to move to somewhere like Manchester, like, see, in my mind, and I think it's one of those, I don't know if it's like an ignorant view, but there's something about being in London that I just always feel like I know where else in the world is like London. Like, London's the best place in the world,
of course.
Right? And then so when I go to Manchester, I would feel, my first thing would be thinking, oh, but if I go to Manchester, what if it's just really bland and there's no culture there? You know what I mean? And that's what I would be scared of. I'd be like, what if there's no, like, there's just nothing, like, and it's just full on, like,
it's just bare vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, or you know, or just not even that. But then I've realised that obviously, like, a friend of mine got married last year, and his missus was from Manchester too. And then I realised that there was like, you know, a black woman Eritrean community, and I know there's an Asian community and all of these things. But one of the things about London that I find is that the mixed cultures have been around for so long that it's inbred into like the food and the restaurants we have and the hair shops and I was like, is any of that actually in?
That's the thing. So obviously when I like I first started coming up here and those kind of things, and the area that we live in now is predominantly white people, right? And the first time I came here, that was the first thing I noticed, right? So I was kind of like, because my missus is black, so I was kind of like, I was like, where's the black people, man?
I do think that makes you, like, it's weird hearing that. Do you know what? It's weird, right, for me hearing that from, like you said, someone who is white. Like, I've never pictured in the other foot, like a white guy going somewhere else and being like, yo, where's all the black people?
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. That's to do with the Camden in you, because the Camden in you is used to being around, you know, blacks or like Asians or whatever, like wagwan. But and you must have stuck out like a sore thumb. Like, they'd see you and they'd know you were white, but there was something that might not have been right. They might be like, yo, he walks a little different. Or, you know what I mean? Or something.
They can tell. They can tell that you're not from there.
Yeah.
And I even still now, I've lived up here for coming up to like 4 years now.
Well, right.
Yeah, it's been a little while, man. And even still today, like, people are like, where are you from?
Yeah. Like, they just know that you're not.
But I say, I'm from here.
Yeah, but they hear it in your accent. They'll hear it in the way you talk.
Yeah, of course. But I'm like, I want a reaction. This is what I say. I want a reaction from. I'm from here.
I'm from here, like West.
Do you know what I mean?
It's mad.
But literally, the biggest thing when moving up here, it was just literally that circle, man. It was literally the circle. And then the missus is saying to me, you know, like, just talk to people when you go to the gym, or I'm like, how old am I? Like, I am not going to the gym to try and chat to next man whilst I'm trying to bench some weights or something. Do you know how fruity that is?
And see, that's a proper London attitude as well, because in your mind, you're thinking, in the nutshell, you're saying, I'm not going to beg it.
Yeah.
Because why am I going to beg it when I'm from Camden?
But do you know how fruity that comes across as well?
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to get cancelled or anything. I'm cool with everyone. But it's like, but that's a bit fruits, man. Like, man's benching and that. And I'm like, yeah, what you saying, bruv?
You're like, what you saying? Where you from? What's your name?
What you saying?
Like, you want to take me out to dinner?
Yeah, fuck that. I ain't chatting to no one, bruv. I'm putting my headphones in and cracking on.
That's hilarious. That's true. But somehow you managed to settle in. So was that like from work? Like, was it like you just met people through
even
your career?
And that's the funny thing, bro. Even work, because obviously I'm from a completely different background, and like who I grew up with, my surroundings, all that kind of stuff was completely different. So even going to work was a bit kind of didn't fit.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously you'd think like I'm at JD Sports, like, you know, obviously you fit with certain people, but majority kind of don't relate to people.
Right, and that's because you've been raised in a different environment.
Completely different environment. Around different people, and whereas I don't know, maybe their upbringing was a little bit more closed in. I don't know, I didn't ask too many questions, but it's...
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, and did you did you experience any any backlash? Because I think that's the number one thing that most people fear. Like, I would fear going to somewhere like San Francisco or Australia and having people treat me almost like, oh, you don't belong here, like, go back to London. Did you experience any of that?
No.
No.
No, not really. It was all love, man. I mean, obviously, like from the workplaces that I was in, one of them was a bit like, oof.
Yeah.
It was a bit mad.
A bit funny.
Oof. A lot happened at that place. But no, not really. Not really like, oh, you don't belong here, go back to London, or
it was
none of that. Never that kind of thing. I think because London is the capital, I think people they're kind of used to hearing the accent, but not hearing the accent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they hear it on TV or something. Yeah, or like they're intrigued by it. Like one thing I've always found is wherever it is you go, and I've always found this is like even especially with women. Like, and I'm not being like derogatory or nothing, but I've always found that like especially with women is that if there's something about saying that you're from London, that just seems to drive everyone a bit wild, and they're like, "Oh my god, ooh, exciting! He's from London." Like, you know what I mean?
It happens, all over the world.
Like, I remember when I went to New York.
Oh, don't get me started.
I went to New York, and I was ordering food in like a Popeyes. Yeah. And I ordered my food. I was like, "Yeah, can I get the number one?"
You went to the hood.
Yeah, I was in Brooklyn.
I was
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And what's it called? I was like, "Yeah, can I get the Popeyes with like, you know, the biscuit, 2 chicken breasts, iced tea, whatever it was, yeah." And then the woman was like, "Oh, sorry, could you say that again?" And I said it right. And then I said it like a third time. And then after I was like, "Wait, is this a joke? What's going on?" And she goes, No, I heard you the first time. I just want to hear you say it again because I like your accent.
They love it, man.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, thank you." Like, but that's something that I feel is experienced all over the world. Like, that people just love hearing people from London talk. So I'm sure even a bit of that you must have experienced in Manchester. Like, I know obviously you've got your missus and whatnot, and like your life is cool, you're a family man, you've got your wife, your kid and whatnot. But it's like, it comes with the territory.
It's an attraction, isn't it? Because it's like, obviously I love different accents. Like I love accents. So I can understand where it comes from. Do you know what I mean? Especially when it's not yours, when it's not your accent, you're not, you know?
Yeah.
I can, like, the whole New York thing, I completely, like, when I went to New York when I was in uni, it was flipping crazy, bruv.
Yeah.
Literally, I stepped off the plane as Dean, I went into one shop, turned into Danny Dyer.
Yeah. I'm like that with French accents. Like sometimes when if I hear women speaking French accents, probably drives me crazy. I'm like, oh my days, could you just never, like, I never want them to shut up. I just keep asking them questions so they keep talking. Do you know what I mean? Because it's really cool. So I understand it, but I guess to me I'm just like because I feel as though I feel like everyone sounds like us, but maybe that's just because I've spent so long in London. I feel like.
But the thing is, as well, is because London is like it's kind of like a base of like everyone. So you get
it's the Queen's English.
Yeah, and but the thing is, as well, is obviously you get so many different tourists in and all this kind of stuff. So you're hearing accents on a regular basis.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? True. Well, especially me, obviously from Camden, like the amount of tourists that flock there. Like, it's crazy. Like, you'll hear Italian one day, you hear French the next.
Yeah, you hear Romanian tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely Romanian.
They're all over.
They're all over. Like, so it's kind of. I think you get used to hearing different accents.
Yeah, and would you say that? So, the fact that you came from Camden, that probably helped Justin to life in Manchester easier because you were already used to seeing so many different hearing so many different accents or seeing different
that's the thing
on your street corner.
When you come to Manchester, you don't really hear any other accent apart from Mancunian. Obviously you've got different kind of tones of Mancunian, like you've got like South Manchester and you've got North Manchester, and they're kind of quite different. Like one's a little bit more strong, and more like different language.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a cup. Like in London, it's a cuppa. Like, make me a cuppa. I have a cup of tea. Yeah. Whereas in Manchester, a brew.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, see, all of that, I'd be like, if someone said to me, "Can I have a brew?" I'd be like, "What?
What do you mean?" Like,
I'd be like, "What are you on about?"
The only time I heard brew was like in them American films, were like, "You want a brew?
You want a brew?" I'd be thinking of iron brew. Like, I'd be like, "What? What you mean, bro? Like, do you want a brew?" I don't understand what you're on about.
There's so many different like different words that they use. Like, I remember the first time like I farted in front of Lorraine, my missus, first time, and she was like, you trumped. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you're like, what
do you mean Trump? What's Trump?
That's joke.
Ain't no Trump. You talking about Donald? What?
That's mad.
Yeah.
I feel like Camden's gonna grow up with like him having like Camden's gonna grow up basically speaking like English slang, no London slang.
Bro, it's mad.
Mancunian slang.
I think he's gonna have a Mancunian accent, and I don't want him to. I want him to have a London accent. This is the turmoil thing. But he's saying certain things like me. So if I say bath.
Yeah.
Like, but Lorraine will say bath.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So, but he says bath. Like,
bath. He'll end up saying bath.
He can't. I'm gonna be like, it's bath.
That's true. That's hilarious, bro. And that's that's another subject actually I wanted to touch into, I guess, because like having a kid. How was that? Like, okay, so this is probably going to be the thick of the conversation.
Yeah.
Having a kid, in your own words.
Yeah.
How has that changed you as a person? Like the way that you might view life, or the way you view people, or the way you view the world in general. Like, how has that? Like, I'm sure you're a different Dean now to the Dean that I met 15 years ago, obviously. But then, how old is Camden?
He's 2, man. He's 2 on the 25th of August.
Right. And so I'm sure, even though you're a different Dean now to the one I met 15 years ago, I'm certain that you're even more of a different Dean now than the Dean you were 2 years ago.
Completely, mate. Bruv, when I tell you, it's a roller coaster, man.
Yeah. Like,
literally from pregnancy. I weren't even the one that was pregnant.
And you weren't even the one carrying.
Roller coaster of emotions, and it's still the same today, bruv.
Yeah.
I'm less selfish.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, if you would have said to me a couple of years ago, you're selfish, I would have been like, you're fucking crazy. Excuse me, I don't know if we can swear on here. Sorry.
Nah, it's calm. You can do whatever you want.
Loads of beeps.
I'll just beep it out.
But if someone had said to me, you are selfish, a couple of years ago, I would have said, you are crazy. I am definitely not selfish. But I definitely was.
Right. So you now understand like the language of compromise.
Yeah,
but do you think that came necessarily with just the kid, or that? I mean, I thought that's something that you naturally develop in a long term or in a relationship anyway.
Bro, I was still a boy, bro, before I had Camden, man. That's the truth. Yeah. I was still a boy, man.
Yeah, and there's nothing that can
turned me. Nah, he turned me into a man. That's as simple as it is. He turned me into a man. Simple as that.
See, even that is terrifying as well, though. Like, to hear that, like, your reaction when you first hear that you're having a kid,
scary, bro.
Like, it's terrifying because you don't really know if you're going to be a good dad, because no one has no one can teach you how to. It's not like a test. Like, you can't take a test and like have a practice child for 18 years and then you have to no, you're just giving it there.
But this is the thing for me. It was kind of like, because I had nieces and nephews and everything growing up, so I was kind of used to like the whole nappy thing and feeding and like all of that. Cause I was so used to it already. So obviously I was scared, like shit scared.
Yeah.
But when he arrived and I saw his face.
Yeah.
Bro, it was game, set, match, man. Done.
That's it. Yeah. And what kind of because this is the conversation I always have with my brother, where he like, I'll talk about my nieces and nephews, and he'll say to me like I think about how much I love my nieces and my nephews, right? And I don't I've never loved anything more than I love my nephews. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't even. I could it makes me think about like the world that we're growing in and what kind of world it would be like when they're older. And what he always says to me is that, now imagine you're feeling that way just as an uncle. You have no idea until it's your own. He goes, wait till it's actually yours. It's a whole different emotion.
It's a completely different ballgame.
You love that person more than you love yourself.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine that kind of emotion. Like how you would, like I've heard people have told me like when they first saw their child, like they cried and they didn't know why they were crying. They just knew they cried.
It's uncontrollable.
Yeah. And it's like, but how is there a way you can like put that into words? Like, could you even try?
I can't. I don't think I can.
You can't.
I don't think.
You just feel it when it's there.
It's just uncontrollable, man. It's
That's
uncontrollable.
insane.
Like Lorenz, she had to have like an emergency C-section.
Yeah,
so it was a scary like situation because obviously like they have to take you into a completely different room. I'm having to put like scrubs on, so like I'm like, what's his name, Turk or something from Scrubs. I'm looking like him right now with my bald head, like just
that's mad.
In the scrubs. And then you're rushing off into this next room, and then obviously they're like drugging her and all of this kind of stuff, and then you're laying down next to her, and it's just like, then you hear all the like, and you're hearing like bare like oxygen, like
that's nuts. What's going through your head at that
bruv?
You know,
I tell you, bruv, I was scared, bruv. Like I don't think I've been that scared in my life.
In your life.
Because in the back of my head, I was like, I hope everything's okay. Is she okay? Is the baby okay? Is everyone okay? Like, it's just, is everyone okay? Is everyone okay? Please, please, please. Like, and then they've took him out and they've got him on a thing, and I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing like crying or anything. I'm not hearing anything. And in that moment, I'm shitting myself, man. Because I'm thinking, please, 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 please.
Right.
And I looked over, and I see like a hand just like in the air, just his hand just in the air, and he starts crying. And at that moment, bro, uncontrollable tears, like uncontrollable, just like
that's mad. That's proper like emotion,
weird, bro. And then like Lorenz looking at me because she's high as fuck, looking at me like, it's okay, it's okay. I'm like, oh no.
That's and you know the thing is that from that moment on, like I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of the things that changes like straight away with you, first of all, is you now realize that okay, there's something in your life that's now more important than yourself, and that's what stops you from being selfish. But then secondly is that I'm pretty sure every decision that you made from that moment on was to do with, okay, is this going to benefit Camden in the future, right? Like, like even when you think about like moving jobs, changing jobs, whatever it is, I'm sure your first thought is always, okay, but is this going to be can I sustain this for a long time, because I need to buy diapers or put my kid through school, and
your whole thought process changes. Like this whole like pandemic situation that's been happening, the whole lockdown and all of that kind of stuff. Like I went fully into like it was a zombie apocalypse, bro. Like I was like, we need this on deck. We need
just now you have a kid. Like if you didn't have a kid, you probably wouldn't like I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been so like I'm isolated and I'm at home, but I haven't been scared of anything happening to me, and that's maybe because maybe I don't really have like huge responsibilities.
But this is the thing. I've not really had the fear of something happening with myself with COVID. It's more so a case of like the family. And this is again another thing for living in Manchester when your family's in London. Trying to control that situation in London as well as your own household is a fucking madness, bro. Because obviously I'm there on the phone to my mum and my dad, like, you need to go into lockdown. And this is like a week before they've actually said, we're going into lockdown. I'm like, you need to go into lockdown. No one in the house.
And this might be because now you're thinking, well, if something like what I would be thinking is now you're probably thinking, if something happens to me, who's going to look after Camden? Is like, were those thoughts going through your mind?
Bro, that's the whole thing. And obviously having like older parents and these kind of things, it's like, it just makes you want to savor the moments with your family even more. So now I want Camden to be around my mum and dad as much as possible and all these kind of things. So obviously with like COVID, I've not seen my family in like 4 or 5 months. So it's kind of,
he hasn't been to Camden. Camden hasn't gone to Camden.
He's been to Camden like 3 times or something, bro. Like 3-4 times. And it's just, it's completely and utterly crazy, man.
Yeah, no, that's that's very different. That's like heartwarming.
It's everything for him though. That's
yeah.
In a nutshell.
And in terms of sorry, going back to, so everything you basically do, I imagine, you do it for Camden and do it for Lorraine, you do it for your family.
Completely.
I mean, you do, men are looked at as providers, right? Even
Completely.
though, fair enough, women work now and they vote and they do all these things.
As long as Camden and Lorraine are completely fine, that's all.
Nothing else bothers you.
Yeah,
right. And so when it comes down to a minute ago, when you were talking about moving to Manchester and some of the battles that you might have faced, like even if you fell out with friends or whatnot, like with that, was it like, is it falling out with friends as in like, oh, we're beefing because I'm going to Manchester, or was it just you drifted apart and it was just a natural occurrence that you just lost touch because you were in a different city? Because that's also two different things. Because if you lose touch because you're in a different city, that's understandable. But it's like if some people don't understand that maybe you've got to move for yourself. I'm pretty sure even the people that you might have had disagreements with, what might have made it easier is in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, even if I fall out with this person, I'm still going to have my wife and my child. And that's more important than anybody else that can't see that.
That was the thought process. It was kind of a mixture of the two sides, really, in what you were saying.
Yeah.
Like there was like maybe one or two people where it was a case of like, since I had moved, it was more of a thing of like, well, I don't understand why you've done that. You haven't really like said goodbye and all of this kind of stuff. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm on up the road, lad.
Yeah.
What do you mean, like, say goodbye? I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like a bye thing. I'm not moving to Dubai or something.
You're not going to Fiji.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
You're 4 hours away. Like anyone that has a car has.
You can travel, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, obviously, like I had like a really good friendship with one or two people, and it went left because of that.
Yeah.
But
because of the moving.
Obviously, you know, the friendship can't have been that good if it was to go left.
If it went left based on that. Sometimes you find though, it might not even necessarily be that you were angry or mad at each other. It's like sometimes for some people that's just the easiest way they find their way to express their feelings, because they can't fathom up the courage to be like, look, I love you and I'm gonna miss you. Like some guys can't say that. It's like a high thing. So they're like, well, I would rather just like, be angry at the fact that he's going instead of admitting to myself that I'm actually going to be upset or I'm going to miss him.
That's true. You know what I mean? And if that kind of conversation might have happened, it might have been completely different. But obviously that was like 4 years ago, bro. So
because I mean, anyone should be able to understand that. Like the people that I keep in my circle that I think of, if I said I was going to move to Brazil, and it was for, I met the woman that I loved and I was going to marry her, or, I've got this kid and it's my career and whatnot. Like anyone that's in my circle, I would like to think right now
they would be happy.
They should understand that, okay, I will miss you as my friend because I talk to you every day, but you've got to do what you got to do for yourself, because like our path is just going to have to change, because you still got to chase your dreams and your goals and your career, and, your life and whatnot. And so that's a great. And speaking of careers, actually, that's the next topic actually I want to jump onto. Would you say, did moving to Manchester have any impact on you changing your career, or are you still basically in the same career? It's just a different company you work for now?
Exactly the same career.
Yeah.
It's just since I've been in Manchester, I've catapulted.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I was freelancing in London. I was freelancing for like a company called App Lab, doing like magazine and that kind of thing for tablet. It's like magazines like 442 and Good Food and all of that kind of stuff. And then obviously I've come up this way, went to JD. From JD I went to another firm called AppLearn. It's like a technology firm. I was like their creative lead there. And then from there, I'm now at a company called Blue Apple Education, and I'm their creative studio manager.
Yeah, so it was something that was bound to. I mean, it was something that had to happen. Like, it was bound to happen in order for you to progress, because especially being in Manchester, I'm pretty sure part of your career probably progressed a lot quicker based on the fact that you're also in Manchester or not in London. Because one thing I find about London as well is that
very competitive.
It's very competitive and it's very, very oversaturated.
Yep.
So like, even if you think about someone who is creative, particularly in the creative industry, right? If you're good at, you might be good as a journalist, or you might be good as a designer or a photographer or a singer or whatever it is. But if you're in, where would you be? If you're in some village in Albania somewhere, you're probably more likely to be discovered, right? Or someone will pay attention to you than if you were in London. Now that sounds a bit backwards to people, but the reason why I say that is because in London, imagine you're a drop in the ocean, right? If London is the ocean, then you as a water drop doesn't really make much difference because there's so much ocean around.
Yep.
But in, let's say Albania was like covered in sand, and you're a drop of water in that sand, obviously you make a bigger impact because everybody wants that drop of water in that sand. Yep. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the way I see it. And so if you could now go back, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't know what the answer would be, but would you say that if you could go back 4 years and remain in London and not have moved to Manchester and have your girl move to London instead, would you still accept that ultimatum, or are you much happier that you ended up moving to Manchester and going there?
See, that's the thing. I don't know, you know. I don't know, because obviously I know the journey and the route that I've been on in Manchester.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, because it was like we was either gonna go London or we was gonna go Manchester, and it was kind of like, which one do we do? And the reason that we moved up this way is because it's a better quality of living for the money that you earn.
Right.
So you can, in London, you look at fucking mortgage price or even rent price in private rent price in London, it's through the roof.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Like the studio is like the price you pay for a studio in London is like a 2-3 bedroom house in Manchester.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a whole madness.
So it's kind of like, okay, and the salary difference, not even that different, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not a big difference. So do we go to London, where obviously it's the capital? Obviously I'm around all my friends and family and all that kind of stuff, and but then I'm gonna be struggling.
Yeah.
Obviously looking to have a family and all this kind of stuff. What do I do for them? Like, because obviously in my head I'm thinking, okay, gonna have a family, gonna have a son or a daughter. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I want them. I don't want them to live in a council flat and all this kind of stuff and have like the same kind of. Obviously, I had a really good upbringing, and I'm happy of the upbringing I had, and it being in Camden and all this kind of stuff. But I don't want them to have the same upbringing, if that makes sense.
I get you. Yeah, I mean, you want to provide better for them. I mean, that's the whole point of having a family, right?
This is it.
Better than you got, and in the hopes that they can provide better for their,
this
like, you set them up so that in a couple of years, like, they might be like dynasties to like the Saunders throne.
This is it. And on top of that, like looking at times now in London compared to 4 years ago, it's completely different in London, man. Like London is fucking crazy now, man.
Yeah.
Like when you think of like the knife crime and all this kind of stuff, I know the media, it plays up to a lot of things, and it's not as kind of as fuckery as it seems.
As violent as they make it, but it's still violent.
But it's still violent.
Busted gangs.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, would I want my son in that?
In that environment.
Yeah, and obviously Manchester, it has this fuckery. Like I've heard stories, Manchester, when it used to be called Gunchester and all this kind of stuff with Moss Side and all of that stuff. Like, but it's not as bad now. And where we are, it's not really that bad. It's people have said that where you're living is a bit rough. I'm like, rough.
Is that rough? Nah, it's calm. Like, it's not.
You don't know what rough is then.
They don't know rough. It's like Camden's rough.
Yeah. So
Camden's a whole madness, man.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. Obviously, I would if I could go back 4 years, give it a trial run, and if it doesn't work, maybe I could just flick back to where we are now. Cool. I'd give it a go,
and see what I've done. But it's probably. I mean, to be fair, I think you probably made either way. I've actually made a good decision, mainly because, like, even if you do decide to come back to London after a while, at least you've had the experience of living out of London.
Yeah, I mean,
and then coming back whenever you're ready. Because it's not like once you made that decision, that's it. Now London is unattainable. Like you don't know. Camden could grow up and be like, "Yo, I want to live in London," and then all of a sudden it's like, "All right, cool, you got relatives in Camden, go down."
Yeah, he might, when he goes to university or wherever, he might decide to go to uni in London. He might decide to go elsewhere. Like, yeah, obviously, whatever he decides to do, he'll be supported 1,000,000%.
Yeah, you'll back it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what parents generally.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? If he wants to run around in a frock and whatever you want to do your thing, man. It's like, you know, do whatever you want to do. But it's like, if I could choose, I'm just not 100% sure, man. I don't know.
You don't know which one. That's all right. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's probably something that will take a while to decipher, because there's so many pros and cons on both sides.
That's the thing.
And there's no saying what could have happened if you did stay in London. And
that's another thing.
Yeah, because you could have stayed in London and you might have been like, yo, I wish I got, like a mortgage in Manchester instead of, or whatever.
It's the whole grass is greener situation, isn't it?
Yeah, you just got it's based. Yeah, it's in the eye of the beholder, isn't
it? Yeah, all you got to do is just tend to your lawn, man. You know what I mean?
You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's
very true.
That's the main thing,
true. Man. And so what's your like? I'm imagining, because that's another thing that will change. Having a family and having like a kid and like your career like basically booming and stuff is. Do you find that your North Star, and you don't have to necessarily say what it is if you don't want to, like a lot of people don't never like to admit to what it is, but would you say your North Star has changed? And what I mean by saying your North Star, I mean whatever you wanted at the end of your life by the time you died, I'm pretty sure that has changed now that you have a kid and a family. Like when you're single, there's all of these, like, so I'll give you an example. There's all of these goals on Instagram, right? Where people are like, oh, this is what I want in my life, and da-da-da-da. And I have a theory. I actually think a lot of these Instagram memes are written by people who don't have families and don't have children.
1,000,000%.
Mainly because you see something that says, like, oh, the goal is to, like some people will say something like, oh, life goes to travel to all of these different countries and have like a 10-bedroom mansion and a boat and whatnot. And in the back of my mind, when I see stuff like that, I'm always thinking, like, for me, my North Star has always really just been to have a family. Everything else on top of that is a bonus. But I don't think there's anything that can be compared to having someone that can, having someone who loves you back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Just having someone to love is probably, I think it was Elvis Presley that said it, where he said, he defined happiness as 3 things, and he said it was something to do, something to look forward to, and someone to love. And I think of all of those 3 things, like, you need, like, for me, I think the most important one would be having someone to love, because if you don't have something to do and you don't have anything to look forward to, you can vent to your someone to love and they will understand you.
I like that.
Whereas if you do have something to do and you have something to look forward to, but you don't have anyone to love, then who are you going to share it with?
Yeah, who are you going to share it with?
Who are you going to talk, like, who are you going to tell? It's one thing to have a mansion with 10 bedrooms, but I can only sleep on 1 bed at a time. So why do I
Who are you going to share it with?
Who are you going to share it with? Yeah. Or who are you going to leave it up to? And so would you say your North Star, or like your life goals, changed?
Definitely, I think it's changed
after your kid was born. Yeah, your priorities started to.
Because obviously, when I didn't have a partner, I didn't have a child, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's kind of the same as yours. Like the North Star that I wanted was to have a family of my own, to obviously have someone to love, and all of that kind of stuff. Like, but obviously, when you have it, then not that you take it for granted. It's just that your perspective changes.
Yeah, you become used to it, I guess, on some level. Yeah. Like, oh, this is the norm. And would you say, this is another thing, right, that I'm always convinced about, because I have yet to find a couple who don't meet this criteria. Now, every single successful relationship or marriage that I'm aware of, right, amongst my friends and my family, I'm talking about even my mum and dad, right?
Yeah.
The girl never liked the guy to begin with, and the guy had to constantly pursue until, and eventually, I don't know how it happened, but eventually the girl always knuckled down and was like, yeah, cool, I guess I'm in love with you, right? And whatnot.
And so when people, the reason why I'm asking this question is because people always talk about, you're supposed to like struggle, like, you work hard to get something or to fight when you want something or whatnot.
Yep.
But I always feel like maybe a partner isn't supposed to fall into that category. I think with a partner, it's just supposed to work. But is that how it is? Is it just like, does it just work? Do you just wake up one day and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm in love, I'm going to marry this person and I have my kid? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of like roller coasters and turmoils and twists and turns and stuff that you have to go through in order to have those dreams or that North Star of that family.
Bro, me and Loren, we wanted to rip each other's faces off before, bro.
yeah, that's joke.
Even still, bro. There's still days where I do her bloody heading and she does mine. Yeah. It's because we're people, man.
Yeah, you're human.
Yeah, like before we were together, before we were a family, we were single people. We were people. So I've got traits and I've got things that I do that she might not like.
Yeah.
And she's definitely got things that that I don't like.
Yeah, that's joke. That's not. Imagine you listen to this and like, I'll be like, next you to say R.I.P. Dean Jordan.
Bro, the maddest thing is earlier on, obviously while I was working, whatever. And like I've come out into the way because like we had a little bit of a kerfuffle in the morning. So I was like, sorry, babe, whatever. And she was like, it's okay, I love you, but you do my head in. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. You do my bloody head in too. It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not all roses.
No, like it's and that's the thing, man. It's like I don't think a relationship is supposed to be all smooth sailing.
No, it's proper not. Like I always tell people that I actually feel like you get, and not even just in relationships, I think even in friendships, I think people get stronger based on the beef that they have with each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's normally when you have the fight and how you make up from the fight that determines whether or not you can spend the rest of your life with this
literally
person.
And we've been through a whole load of shit. Like a whole heap of it. Like we've been together like coming up to 6 years. 6 years on the 21st. There's a lot, man, and there's a lot of personal growth in that time. There's a lot of growth in the relationship. It's like it's crazy, man. And for me, like a relationship, you're a ship, aren't you? Like it's your ship. If the waters were always clear and the sun was always out, you kind of then wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah. Like it says, it takes a rough sea, like a smooth sea, never made a skilled sailor.
Exactly that. Do you know what I mean? And right now, I am definitely skilled.
Yeah. And these are things that and the thing is, nobody could have taught you these things.
No,
like
that's it.
Even the fact that, like, fair enough, like even having like a great upbringing or like loving your family and your mom and your dad and parents and sister. But I really generally also believe that. Like nobody can teach you that because that there were no two love stories that were exactly the same.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
You have to go through it yourself.
Yeah, it's mad. And like there will be times when like I guess you learn over time where like you might seek some advice from people who love you, and because they love you and what they can see is, oh, this is hurting Dean, so they might be quick to be like, oh no, leave her, bruv, but realistically they don't know what they're talking about because only you know like the ins and outs of everything,
and that's a part of your growth as a human being. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like as you go through this whole circle of life and everything that we go through, I kind of think it's like you're just gathering information. You're gathering information, you're gathering experiences, memories, all these kind of things, and then your aura that's around you is glowing in a certain kind of way. So then all of those memories and all that kind of stuff, experiences that you've got, when you go over to the other side, people will be able to recognize you because of your aura, because of your glow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't you find that and do you find, right, that because of the generation gap, have you yet admitted to yourself that and this is it's probably one of the hardest things that you probably ever have to admit to yourself as a man, is that so now you have your wife and you have Camden, right? And there were certain things that you're going to want for Camden, and there's certain things you're going to want Camden to do, maybe Camden to be, etc., etc. Have you yet had the conversation with yourself where you've had to understand that, okay, but what am I going to do when or if Camden doesn't follow the path that I want him to? So let's say you decided you want Camden to play football for Arsenal, right? Or Man United.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who do you support? Man United, right?
I'm a gooner, man. Man United.
You're a gooner.
Just because I live in Manny, bro. Come on,
right,
man.
Cool. Right. That's another difficult thing for you.
I'm a fucking gooner, bro.
I mean, bare Man City fans around you.
I don't give a fuck.
Cool. But yeah, so you might grow up, you might think to yourself, okay, I want Camden to be a gooner and to be like, you know, play football for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Have you had the conversation with yourself in preparation for the day? Because it could happen where maybe Camden could come up to you and say, look, there's this girl that I like and she supports Chelsea, so I'm a Chelsea fan now. What would you do? What would you do with that? Because although you are his father, you also have to understand that he is his own person.
Yeah.
And he can be a Chelsea fan if he wants to.
See, like, the thing for me is I've always said to myself since he was born, as long as he's happy, as long as he's safe, as long as he knows what he actually wants to do, I don't care what it is. I'll back him. I will back him 1,000,000%. Because that's my boy. Do you know what I mean? That's my boy. That's my best friend. I will back him all the fucking way, but I don't care what it is. Don't care what it is. But the thing that I have to get in my head, right? I've had this discussion with Aaron. Sorry, I'm a bit slurring because I've had a bit of a rum.
That's calm. It's all right. We don't judge.
We move
on this side.
The thing I've had to like as I said, I've had this discussion with Loren. I want him to, when he starts having girlfriends and all this kind of stuff, I want him to have a black woman.
Right.
And
is there any specific reason?
Not specifically. It's just that, and obviously he can have whatever woman he wants. He's a beautiful boy, so he's gonna have his pick of the bunch.
I mean, he could come home with a Polish woman.
Yeah, it's up to him. But it's just I don't know. I've always had in my head that he would have a black woman.
Right.
I don't know why. Maybe it's I love black women. I always have done.
I mean, that's another thing. I won't dive too deep into it because obviously that's your past and whatnot. But that's another thing that I've always noticed with you. I've always known that you've generally always been attracted to black women in general. So he might pick that up from you, and he might just be like, "Yo, I just want to be like your brown sister."
Yeah, I think that's maybe what it is. I want him to take after me, but I want him to be better than me. If that makes sense,
right? And I mean, and that's the best thing that any parent could want for their kids.
To
have what they have, but plus more.
But more. No. But I can't. I can't say to him, "You need to be like me," because I don't want it. In a sense, I don't want him to be like me. Do you know what I mean? Weird. It's a weird one. I want him to kind of be like me, but not be like me.
Maybe you want him to be his own person. I guess.
Yeah.
Even if, and that's a very tough decision to come to terms with, that being his own person might not necessarily run in parallel to the views that you have on the world. And that won't necessarily be because he's some bad breed child, because he's not, right?
No, If he was,
it would be because of it would be the generation gap.
Yeah.
So for instance, even if you think of the generation of our parents, for instance, my parents might have thought, in my parents' lifetime, it was, go to school, get a degree, get a job, get a yard, get married, boom, that's it, sorted. Yeah. And now I might be thinking, well, hey, obviously I want those things, but what if I was thinking, no, I don't want that? That's something that they have to come to terms with. And now you might say, in the same sense, you want Camden to, come home with a black woman and want more for himself and this and that. Mm-hmm. But he could actually one day he could just be well, hey, I just want to be a regular guy. I don't
we are not made regular.
He might be yo, I don't want to shoot for the stars. I just want a regular job and do my regular thing and be calm. And it's and one of the hardest things that you may have to come to terms with is that although you have planted the seeds to
it might not work out the way you want it to.
The way you want, yeah, and that's a very difficult conversation that I think a lot of parents struggle to have with themselves.
That I won't be happy with.
Yeah, you wouldn't. But you may think you might not want him to be regular, but then why would that be? You know what I mean?
But I understand there can be people that, and this is like I said about the whole him being with a black woman. It's not I'm against white women or Asian women or any kind of woman. I'm not against any women. I love all women. All women are brilliant. Yeah. But I was just it's my preference. I don't know. It's
just a thing.
Yeah. But it's kind of like on the same on the other side of it. Like I can understand that a person might they might work at Sainsbury's or Asda or something, and they might enjoy stacking shelves or like I don't know.
Might just say to you,
it might be your love.
That's for the rest of my life.
I get that, and I completely understand it. If someone out in the street said to me, "Yeah, I work for Asda. I have supported the key workers in the pandemic. I am happy. I'm over the moon for you." But for me, I don't want it for mine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you get what I mean?
You want more for him.
Yeah,
that's it. You want him to be in a position where he doesn't need or want anything from anyone.
Exactly.
You want him to want for nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want him coming to me when he's my age saying, "Oh shit, I've not got nothing."
Right. That makes sense.
And he's got a family and all this kind of stuff, and he can't support them and all that kind of stuff. Because then for me, I've not only has he failed, but I failed. Yeah.
You feel you failed as a parent.
Yeah.
And the thing that's and I think the most terrifying thing about all of that is that no one can teach you how to teach him that. No one can actually tell you how to teach him that. Like the only thing you can do is just be the best dean you can be, or be the best father you can be.
That's exactly it.
That he would pick up from your actions and not because he won't listen to your words. He'll pick up from your actions.
Yep.
Like, even when you think about the things that you want to do, like part of the reason as to why you yourself are a working man is because you've seen your dad as a working man, per se. You know what I mean? And even for me, I'm a working man because I've seen my dad as a working man.
Yep.
Whereas if I didn't see my dad work, and maybe let's say my dad didn't go out the house every morning and go to work and do whatever. Like let's say he just stayed at home and was.
You would kind of do the same.
Yeah, I do the same because I'd be like, oh, this is what
it's learned behavior.
Dad's supposed to stay at home and just chill and watch TV.
It's learned behavior.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
and it's down to everything. Everything your whole upbringing in your family. It's like obviously my mum and dad, they've been married for God knows how many years. I think they're coming up to 50 odd years or something of marriage, or some 40 something years. It's crazy amount of years.
It is. It's crazy. It's nuts. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. Even with that, you will find that you're more likely to see your relationship, your marriage with Lorraine is more likely to work out when it happens. By the way, congratulations, you're engaged now, right? You're saying, right?
Yeah, man, thank you, brother.
And what's good? Your marriage is more likely to work out based on the fact that because you've seen it work with your mum and dad.
Mm-hmm.
So you believe in love. You believe in the idea of love. And I think the fact that they've held it together for so long, and you probably experienced as a child or seen, the ups and downs that they've gone through.
1,000,000%.
It means that the whatever fights or arguments you might have with Lorraine, you're more likely to work it out, because in the back of your mind somewhere there'll be a voice telling you, my mum and dad went through worse than this, so if they worked it out, we could work it out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if your mum and dad had set an example of maybe not working out, and you were raised in two different households,
you may give up.
You may give up because you'd be like, well, hey, if my dad couldn't do it, what makes me think I can do it?
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
exactly that.
Thing.
Exactly
that. Learned behavior. You're right. But yeah, man, this was we're on 58 minutes now. It's gonna go. Yeah, that's what I mean, bro. I'm telling you, I just let it spiral, and you find that people tend to just talk about, I enjoy the conversation, and we end up having a really good conversation because there is no planned topic. You just end up,
it's just a nice conversation.
The road. Yeah, it's like a phone call, basically. I don't know if there's anything that you want to say, to end it up or to round it up nicely. Mainly because, whoever's listening might have some words or something for you. I don't know, that you might want to share.
Just love and light, man. Love and light. Stay on your journey. Live life to the fullest. Love to Loren. I love you dearly. Love to my son Camden. You are my heart and soul.
Hang tight. That's gonna age very well. Hopefully they'll listen back to this in like 10 years when, like, you know, we're both millionaires and we'll be like, oh, I remember when we did this.